welcome guys to our Empower Hour on Mondays at 7 o'clock Eastern every single Monday. We come to you live with some training for the industry. And tonight we're so excited because we have Miss Amber Voight here with us tonight. Guys, if you have not invited everybody that you know right now, go and send out a text. Go and invite your friends, your team, the people that you know need to be here because Amber is so much fun. And it's so exciting to have her here. We've been sharing with you guys that we're bringing on guests into Empower Hour into the fall just to give you guys some extra training and some extra value and content. And I've been so excited for Amber because I met Amber, what was it, like 10 plus years ago on Millionaire Road radio show. I fell in love with her immediately because her personality is incredible, but it was what she was building. She went into her company. She went up to the #1 spot. She built with relationship marketing. And I just heard her story and I was like, this is somebody who has figured it out and got it right and then used social media to her massive advantage in network marketing. So Amber, I kind of know your backstory and I don't know how back you want to go, but your story is powerful. Like when you go back to where you started from and why you got into network marketing and why you had to make it work, I think that impacts people's lives. So I won't tell it for you. If you want to kind of share with us a bit about who you were then, who you are now, and then we've got some questions for you because we want to learn from your brain.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for having me on here. I love everything about network marketing because it took somebody like me. I was a teenage mom, a high school dropout, and a life that there's no other industry, nothing else I could have ever done that would give my family this type of lifestyle. So I'm telling you, anybody can do this. Now, I learned a lot of what not to do in the first few years. Well, probably first 10 years. I was spammy. I was embarrassing. Like what you shouldn't do, I did. So I learned what works and what doesn't work. And the first thing I want to say is don't be scared of looking stupid. I looked stupid for a long time, but it's the only reason that I've made $7 million doing this is because I looked stupid. So the faster you can just get out there, you're going to get better. So we all start kind of bad, you guys, but we get better as we go.
Somebody needs to mute.
That's okay. It's just, just hearing it another time, another echo.
Exactly.
But I just want to really just impress upon you. Like I've done a lot of things in network marketing, but I'm just a normal everyday girl. I'm not a big influencer. I don't have, I got quite a few followers now, but I didn't. I started with nobody liking my stuff besides my mom. So I really just want to emphasize that everyday normal people can make big, big things happen in network marketing. And I think today's age, we kind of see a lot of influencers, which I love influencers. Don't get me wrong. I got some on my team. I got some as my friends. I love them. But I think people start to think, well, I can't do this unless I have a big following. I can't do this unless I look perfect, unless my posts, go viral, which is totally not true, you guys. Network marketing is for the everyday normal person. And I just keep saying that over and over again because it's so true. So I just remember, 10 years ago, I needed more. I was living in a rundown mobile home. There's nothing wrong with trailer houses. I've seen some gorgeous ones. This one, not so much. I mean, it still had the shag orange carpeting from the 60s. Like it was bad. It was bad. But I knew that if I just kept going with it, it was going to happen. I mean, I've seen people cross the stage in my company as $1 million earners. And I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. I have the same comp plan. I have the same product. Now, it might take me 3 times as long, but who cares? The time's going to pass anyway. So I'm just going to keep going until I get there. So that was really my mindset. And, what really kept me going was just knowing that it's possible.
Yeah. And I think with you, and I was sharing this with Paul, and I've shared this with the team as we kind of celebrate the fact that you were coming on the How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes.
I've heard you train on that
yes.
so many times. And
That's the first book I ever read, you guys. First personal development book ever.
Yeah. And when I think of that book, I think of you. So
well, that is a huge compliment.
Yeah, but you've mastered it. Like you mastered it. So if you want to talk a little bit about how that book had an impact on you and then how you took that. I've heard you share about how you had conversations with women on Facebook and you were just not relentless, but you just did it. Just like what you just said, right? Like if somebody's going to do it, I'm going to do it. The time's going to pass anyways. So tell us about that and what that looked like in those early years on social media.
I heard from one of my mentors, he said, you have to want this as much as you want to breathe. Like, imagine if somebody is like holding you down underwater and you're fighting, you're trying to get up, you're trying to get that breath. That's how much you have to want success, as much as you want to breathe. So I know there's people out there saying, I want this so bad, but they won't even message anybody. They won't talk to nobody because it's scary. Well, you'll drown. Like, you have to want it as much as you want to breathe. And part of my journey through this is I used to message people and it was really spammy. That's not the way to do it. This is relationships. People are going to join you and work with you and buy from you because they like you as a person. So once you start caring about other people, and I learned from my good friend Lisa Grossman to be a friend collector and care more about the people, like care about them as a person versus I'm going to get them on my team. Oh, they can make me this much. Like, who cares about that stuff? That will come after. First, you care about them as a person, you love them, and they're going to want to work with you. And that's how I've grown my team organically. I've never done ads. I'm not a big influencer. I don't go viral, but I just really care about people. And you can't go wrong. Like every time I'm on stage, like I know Eric asked me once, he's like at the end of my speech, he said, okay, well, if you give us one tip, what could it be? And honestly, that's it. Love everybody. If what they have, even if they're not going to sign up on your team, that's okay. You know how many people I have spoken to who never signed up on my team? Like, well, they are now. You never know. You never know where that's going to bring. I actually talked to one woman, this was 10 years ago, and she wasn't interested, which is fine. That's fine. But I'm like, okay, well, I want to keep this connection. I want to keep this friendship. Let's help each other. I'll share tips. You share tips. And she actually sent me a referral. And that referral became one of my biggest leaders in my entire career, who was with me for over 11 years doing $1 million a month. I mean, that paid off. And it was because I wasn't looking to see what I could get from her. Instead, I was just being a friend. So it never goes out of style, you guys. Always, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. That is so important. And we watched you, or I watched you, or anybody who's been following you has seen over the last couple of years, you and especially this last year, you made a massive transition. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, ooh, Amber Voight, here's some products. Like, come on. So you stayed so true to yourself. And I love where you are now. And I love this comeback that you've had. And it's been just so awesome to watch you organically do that. So talk about being authentically yourself, what that's felt like. I'm sure you've had the haters. I'm sure you've gone through all of the stuff about people saying stuff and you're not doing it right. But in my eyes and in the people that are watching you and see what you just did, you're doing it
Yeah.
right. So if you can give advice in that area for people.
Absolutely. I remember back in the day, probably 13, 14 years ago, one of my mentors, this is such a funny story. He would tell me, he's like, Amber, you are not polished enough. You just have your kids running around. Your house isn't clean enough. Like, you need to fit into this box. You need to be more professional. And I'm like, I can't. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to attract the people who want to work with me because they're like me. I always talk about your brand and your niche. And I feel like we're not stuck in a little box. There's so many different parts of each of us. Like, I just be myself, and you're going to attract people who are like you. And we know that people do business with people they like and trust, and people like and trust people like themselves. So I am just myself. And the funny part is that mentor, that upline that I had 13, 14 years ago, he's been calling me. He wants to join my team now. And I'm just out here being myself, not fitting into that little professional box because, I think be the best version of yourself. Obviously, I'm not, I'm not a person who like cusses a lot and everything anyways, but I'm not on my stories like, just going crazy, but I'm myself, but obviously the best version of myself,
Mhm.
when I'm working. But you can't go wrong when you just be yourself. Let's say you love motorcycles. Like, I have a girl who I used to work with. I used to call it Motorcycle Mama, and she would just post about motorcycles all the time. That doesn't help her network marketing business, but it does, because you know what? She's connecting with a group of women who love motorcycles. And there's my baby. I'm a mama. And
Yeah.
there's his daddy grabbing him. But just be yourself. That's something that I think we're scared of. And I kind of want to go back a little bit when we were talking about, just really going after it. I want to tell you guys, I got 1,000 no's. 1,000 no's on the way to the top of my last company. And I want to tell you, they weren't no to me, because most of those people over the last 10 years, they have joined me or bought from me or supported me in some way. But at first they're like, no, that's okay. Just say, yeah, that's fine. You're just sharing products you love. And if they want it, great. If not, okay.
Absolutely. Well, and you've done a real watch me anyways kind of style, but
Yeah.
without any ego. And I think guys, if you're not following Amber Voight, she's Sparkle Amber Ray on Instagram. That's where she hangs out the most. You've got to go follow her, watch her stories. She's the type of person that can put up 20 stories in a day and you don't swipe off because you're like, what's next? What's next? What's and you have so much fun with your team. And it was so great to see you guys celebrating and just seeing you
That's
in
so
your
fun.
element again. Like, just so awesome. I can tell you're so happy. I know Izzy's definitely wanted to say something. I'll let Paul and Izzy and everybody else be able to talk to you too, even though I could just talk to you for hours and forward you to myself.
Oh,
So,
you can call me anytime.
okay, good. I will. Is Izzy there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm flabbergasted at seeing Amber. I had the opportunity to meet Amber. She doesn't remember this. Probably about 13, 14 years ago. Guys, there are people that talk the talk, people that walk the walk, and there's people that define the walk. And Amber is one of those people that defines what network marketing is, both in terms of her ability and what she does behind the scenes. I met Amber as she was embroiled in, for lack of a better expression, a difficult argument, or I'm going to call it what it was, a pissing match with an incredibly well-known trainer in the industry. We're going back about 13, 14 years. And this guy was just relentless, well-known in the industry. But Amber, even as a rising star, showed the class that she was because she never retaliated. She held her ground and wound up earning that individual's respect. But what really threw me was something that she did in the early stages. My company was one of the early sponsors of the ANMP meetings. I don't know if you guys know what that is. You really should be a part of that. But I had the pleasure of sitting behind Amber, and I was amazed by her crazy pink hair back then and her energy. And there was a bidding war. And Amber, I don't know if you remember this, but they were bidding off signed helmet from, I think it was the Dallas team, the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And the bidding went on. It was 5,000, 10,000. The winning bid was Amber Voight. And Amber stood up and graciously accepted the helmet. She cut a check and she said, take it back. I support network marketing. Bid it again. That was arguably one of the classiest acts I've ever seen in true support of what network marketing is and what a network marketing leader will do to validate the industry and her own worth to others. It wasn't an ego thing. It was just pure support. Amber, from that moment on, I've admired you from afar. You are the definition of going from trailer home to custom home, and you have earned everything in between, especially because you've impacted so many lives. I applaud you. I admire you. And I might even join you. You never know.
I appreciate that. We're all here just to make this profession better because we know we've done it. We know that how much this can help people. So if we can just shine a light on network marketing, I'm there all day.
And to validate one more point, you said, don't be afraid of looking stupid, just like I did as my dog turned on the TV and blared the music. So stupid is it, stupid does, I'm in with you.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Thank
And I
you.
love that you have that memory. And that's just so cool to hear because I'm sure there's even times, Amber, for yourself where you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot that even happened. Right. And yet it's still something that people remember you for. And that's really the cool part of this profession when you just get to that level that you're making an impact on other network marketers' lives. Paul, do you have any questions for Amber? I'm sure you do.
Sure. How much was it philanthropy and how much was it that you're just not a Cowboys fan? That's really what I need to know. So,
I'm a Vikings girl. I gotta say, I'm a Vikings girl.
Are you really? Minnesota Vikings.
They're doing pretty well this year.
Yeah.
Actually, they are. So the love everybody thing, I want to go back because you said that was the biggest key, right? Because everybody talks about technique and recruiting and funnels and this and that, when it's really that emotional response that we get out of people. So you said love everybody. So my question is, from a guy from New Jersey, that was very difficult for me I know how to build rapport and everything else, but what advice would you give someone that is just starting out but has not done the personal development to love everybody? Because sometimes you could really I just put a post up about the Kardashians where they're in their 20th season. I know the Angel's going to get pissed. Their 20th season, I've never watched a single episode, right? So it would be hard for a guy like me to love one of the Kardashians, right? So a little bit more about that, because you know that there's all different types of people. There are your kind of people, and then there's other kind of people. But we do know in our businesses, right? You have every kind of person, and you do have to love
Yes.
on all of them. So
You
that's a
do, you
little bit of a
do.
challenge for some people if they haven't done the work.
Well, I say first, get to personal development. Start today. If you haven't done any, like start today. But I think I get a little softer because I'm a mom. So I think of everybody as like my kids. Like I'm like, oh, when my kids, I hope somebody's nice to Jackson when he's older. Like I just think of like, I think of that's somebody's child. That's someone's little boy. That's someone's little girl. So I think being a mom kind of helps me loving everybody. Because I just think like that's somebody's daughter. I care about her because I care about my kids, and I don't know. But you got to have boundaries too. You don't have to love on everybody. Like if you are being like, there's been so many times people have tried to take advantage of me. They take advantage of my generosity. Like I like to help people financially sometimes, and I've been taken advantage of many, many times. So you do have to set those boundaries too. So when I say love everybody with a boundary, that's
Right.
something
Well,
I
think about it.
just kind of incorporated.
There's a
Yes.
fine line sometimes between social worker and network marketer, right? Because
Oh,
sometimes we
yes.
feel we got to become a social worker. You mentioned Lisa Grossman. I think Lisa Grossman has a big matter of fact way of training, right? There's really no pretense to her, and she always has an answer. And I kind of see a little bit in you, a little bit
She's
more
like my
loving.
mom of network marketing. Like she told
She's
me
so
that the
great.
other day. She's like, "You're like my daughter." She's my mom of MLM.
So let's go back to Look Stupid.
Hmm.
Two things I want to get to, and then I'm gonna be done, and I'll let other people ask you questions. But literally have one of the true rags to riches stories in our business, right?
Yeah.
The little bit of research I was able to get, but you talked about, this beautiful trail of homes, but then there was yours, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you coach somebody, or what would you say to somebody who, and it's a two-part question. What would you say to somebody who you don't want to see somebody have to go that low to be able to come back up again? And I think a lot of people, there's so many stories, the big stories in our industry, people who walk Eric's stage and so many stages that have that story. And is that necessary?
No, absolutely not. There are people who are going to relate to you and from all walks of life. Like I have people on my team who were very successful lawyers and they do really well. There are
Right.
people who are single moms. There are people who came from money. Like absolutely, you don't need that story, but you need to have your story, whatever your story is, because that is what's going to connect with people. Let's say I came from a wealthy family. I still have a story of wanting more for my kids and, wanting to do what my parents did for me. Wish that was my story. It's not. But if it was, I would still have that story that people would connect with. We've heard it over and over in network marketing, facts tell, stories sell. So I want you guys to get your story. If you're watching this, get your story down. Get it down so you can tell it. And don't be embarrassed of the embarrassing parts because that's where people really connect with you. I have like a woman on my team who she used to be really heavily into drugs, that she was scared to tell that part of her story. But now she does. And she has helped so many people get clean and stay clean. And it's just been so impactful and so huge. So really just tell your story and know that it's helping people. That's really it.
So to close out, guys, two things I want to just say to the people listening, because there's a lot of people that we coach on a regular basis. And sometimes when you hear the same thing, but from another person saying it, it makes such a big difference. And you mentioned what I call the survival instinct. Your success instinct has to be as powerful as your survival instinct. And you said, you're drowning. What would you do to really get your head above water? And then you just talked about the wait what moment. Wait,
Mhm.
what? You were a drug addict? Wait, what? You lived in a trailer? So that's so big for people. And I want them to be able to hear it from you because it just, what did I say, Danny? What did I say? The person from outside or whatever? You had a great saying for that. Danny's a 29-year veteran of the industry. He goes way back to the Mona V days, making 7 figures at Mona V. But I heard that was easy, Danny. Anybody else got any questions? And then we'll let Amber rip.
Amber, I do have a couple questions for you. Thank you. First off, thank you for
Of course.
us today. We appreciate it. I think the first time I might have met you or seen you speak was at Eric Morgan's event, GoPro, before, like in Vegas, probably 2000, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15, somewhere around there. And I was just blown away by listening to you speak because, like you had talked about, people, it's okay to look stupid. Not saying that you look stupid. A lot of people think that they have to speak perfectly. They have to, like, we just talked about, I've been taught to use somebody else's story until I have my own. And that's, I've always do, and I still do it. I still use Paul's story about, how he had success from the business, because, I'm not where I want to be with the company that we're with. But, my question to you is, how does somebody, how do you get them to understand that looking stupid is okay? And then when did you realize, again, I'm not saying you look stupid, but when did you realize that the success was there? That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think I realized the success was there when people started messaging me and saying, wow, you inspire me. Like, if you did this, I can do this. And I wasn't even doing all that much at that time, but I was doing more than the average person. So, and not that anybody looks stupid, but when we first start, we're not going to be masters. Everything, Eric taught me this, everything in network marketing is a skill. None of it is a talent. None of it we're born with, including content creation, including knowing how to talk to, sometimes you feel dumb talking to a phone by yourself, talking to nobody. Sometimes I'll be doing like a story, like my following, they're moms. They like to see Target hauls. So sometimes I'll be at Target showing them the newest stuff, and I'll be talking to my phone. People will be looking at me like, this girl is insane. I feel stupid, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. So you just do it. You just do it. Even when you're like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. You just do it. It's like Art Williams. Just do it.
I think, what you're saying, what I hear you saying is, it's very important to think about other people that are looking at you and doing it for them, not for yourself. Because I think a lot of people in this business, it's all about me. It's all about me. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, not, speaking about what the people that are in the seats need to hear from you. And I think that's a great point that you make, is that you might be, listen, if I saw you in Target on your phone talking to yourself, I'd be going, this chick. So again, I appreciate you being here. And I'm sure that people out there are excited to hear your story, and I'm sure they'll start following you as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
For sure.
Hi,
Peg,
Amber.
I'll pass it to you. Peg, I know Peg's our social media queen here as well. And I know, like, the branding side, guys totally click on all of that. So definitely go ahead, Peg.
Oh, thanks, Angel. Amber, I am just in awe of you, and I can see why Izzy was so excited to have you on, because you say love everybody, like your love just comes through. You just get such a warmth. So I just want to I want to ask you, when you say that you need to want this as much as you want to breathe.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people that come in maybe not having even enough belief in themselves to want to feel comfortable wanting it. So how do you take someone who's like, okay, I just want to I want to dabble in this, to wanting it that much, to really seeing that vision for themselves? How do you make them comfortable with that?
So this is going to sound really weird, but this is what I did, because I was not comfortable either. I mean, I was an overweight, depressed mom from Minnesota, but I faked my confidence. I am not about fake it till you make it. I think the truth is enough. But when it comes to confidence, I fake that. I pretend like I'm confident. When I press live, I feel like I'm going to throw up every time, but I do it anyway. And I pretend, it's almost like I put on a hat, like a confidence hat. And when you do that long enough, it becomes real. At least it did for me. But I wasn't confident in the beginning, but I did it anyway. I think that having discipline, we talk about motivation a lot, like motivation to go live or motivation to get out there, but motivation gets you so far. It's really discipline and just doing the things you don't want to do, but just doing it anyway. And I think that helps with that belief. Even I didn't believe in myself, but I just did it anyway. And soon I started to believe in myself. And I think that as an upline or as a leader, someone's success is never on your shoulders. You're there to help. But I think that's also a leadership conversation, because you need to believe in your people so much. Like, if they don't have belief in themselves, you need to believe in them so much and just breathe that into them until they start believing in themselves.
Yeah, I went through that journey. I came in not believing in myself, and then just and now I.
How did you do it? How did you get that believe.
I think association. I think the people that
Yes.
that you spend your time around, seeing people like like Paul, Angel, Danny, Izzy, seeing people who are succeeding, right? And just getting like,
Mhm.
I can do this. I can do this too.
I love that you said that, Pig, because that was also a big thing. I didn't even remember until you said that when I first started, like first started having success. My circle, they were very unsuccessful, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they didn't want to get better. They're like, "Why do you want to make more money? You're not going to be able to be on welfare anymore." I'm like, "I don't want to be." I don't want to be on that. But they just, they made fun of me for going to conferences or listening to Jim Rohn while they're playing cards and getting drunk. That's not the life I wanted. So I replaced that circle with people like Eric Worre, like Lisa Grossman, like Sarah Robbins, and that who are now John C. Maxwell, who are now my real life friends. They didn't know me back then, but I replaced my friends with these people who I wanted to be like. So that was huge. I'm really glad you brought that up, because that was a big factor for me, what you just brought up.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. So you're talking about people thinking you're insane at Target, right? Like you can just be like, hey, and I'm building an insane income too, right?
Yeah.
So, how do you help people on your team? Like you want people to get inspired by you, by what you're doing, but to find their own voice,
Yes.
right? So how do
Mhm.
you take people through that journey of finding their own voice, especially when maybe they're uncomfortable having that, what's my family thinking of me? When they're, what are my friends, the people who've known me for 20 years, what are they thinking about me? How do you, help them to get comfortable with that?
Well, first, I tell them, who cares? Those people aren't paying your bills. Who cares? But I know it's easier said than done. But I find a way, and this is what my whole team does. We find who they have influence with. So, like for
Mm.
me, I wouldn't have influence with, let's say a math genius who, I wouldn't have influence. I got an eighth grade education. Wouldn't have influence with them. They wouldn't listen to me. I do have influence with people who want to build a business, people who want to learn how to grow their social media. I know who I have influence with. I have influence with those 40-year-old moms. That's who I have influence with. So that's who I'm talking to. In all of my content, I'm talking to that person. And my business is mostly women. We have men too, but so I'm usually talking to that woman. Everything I'm doing is usually around momhood. It's usually around, 40-year-old skin and, just knowing who's actually going to listen to me. And that's what I have my team do. And we're all different. Like I have people on my team completely different than me, but we figure out who is going to actually listen to you. Who do you have influence with? And now everything that you put out, it's to them. Because when we do, I always emphasize, you're the social media girl too. I emphasize reels. That's our, gets new eyeballs on us. Somebody's going to go to a reel. If they see a reel they like, they're like, oh, they're going to go to your profile. They're going to see, what you're about. Then they're going to see the rest of your content and they're like, oh, yes, I like this. I want that recipe. And that's how you build those loyal followers, which
Yeah.
I hate the word followers. They're my friends. But that's how you build it, is you speak to them and you know who you have influence with. Like I know I don't have influence with 20-year-old girls. They're like, I do my makeup better. Like I have no influence. I have influence with their moms, and their moms have more money.
Right. That's good. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back
Yes.
over to you, Angel. Thanks, Amber.
And Angel,
No,
mention the book again because people are asking questions about what the name of the book was.
how to win friends and
How
influence
to Win
people.
Friends and Influence People. I put it in a private chat, but
Yeah. So good. And I mean, if you want to learn how Amber started with her journey here, that's it. That's the book that she's shared that she read in the very beginning. And if you study it and you start to understand when we talk about the whole love side of things and loving on people, that's exactly where that comes from. I want to go a little bit deeper, and I know all of our viewers watching aren't going to be female, but you are building with females. You've built your brand around your beauty brand. You've stayed consistent to that. You've just stayed consistent to being a top network marketer as your brand as well. But in those times where you're doing those target videos or you're doing a video and the hate that you get, I think the biggest thing for women is that we're challenged to do those things because we know that for the 5 people that say they love us, there's going to be another 5 that really come at us, right? Come at us for our looks, what we didn't do, what we didn't say right. Why would you do it that way? Who do you think you are? All of that. I'm sure you had to go through that a few times. So I'd love for you
Oh yeah.
to talk on How did you get through those moments? And how did that
Block, baby. Send them to Block Island. I've never, you guys can agree with this. We've never met haters doing better than us. Like somebody who
Right.
is $1 million earner is not going to make fun of you for making your first reel. Like it's just not going to happen. So I think a little bit of it's a mindset thing, and just block and know that that's projection. Like that's happened to a lot of my team. People will come on and say horrible things. Now my skin's a little bit thicker, so I like to kind of have fun with them a little bit. One time you guys remember the couch people? Do you remember that by any chance? Like it was like this weird troll group that would come to people's lives and be like, do you have a couch for sale? Like just weird. And I actually had a couch for sale. So they sold me a couch because I'm like, yeah. And I like showed it and somebody on my live bought it. So I just had fun with them. And I know that's like a mindset thing, but you guys, it happens to everybody. And they usually they're not even looking at what you look like or what you're posting. There's groups out there just to be hateful. And just imagine how sucky their life is. Just imagine like how miserable they are. I know me, I would never go online and bully somebody. That would mean I would have a pretty sad life. So feel sorry for them, honestly. Feel sorry and block.
Yeah, and I love that. And that's such a good mentality to have. And I love when you said like no hater that's doing better than you is ever going to come onto your live or your reel and make fun of you. And that's so powerful. So I hope anybody listening to that maybe you've been like just stifled a little bit or you're like hesitant, take that advice from Amber tonight, write that down, put it out there, make sure you're going to take that action tomorrow. One more thing from me, and then I'll still go back. I know, Izzy, I'm sure there's got to be more coming from you tonight, but I wanted to talk to you about the rebuild.
Yes.
You had massive success with a company. We're not like, obviously, if anybody wants to know where Amber is, just ask me anytime. I have no problem sharing where Amber is. But with a company that you built, you were like the face of that company for so long. Things happened where, there just wasn't one. We talk about 5 pillars all the time in our training, right? The 5 pillars of what to look for. And I can tell that with you, one of those pillars was not sturdy anymore. And you've gone on to rebuild and you've gone through, unfortunately, the legal side of that as well. What did that look like for you? What did you do differently this time than the first time? And what was easier? What was harder for you?
I wasn't starting from scratch. I was starting from experience. And that's what I tell my team who have had experience. I'm like, you're not starting over. We're starting from experience. And I think it helped that just love everybody attitude. That helped me because people are like, oh, you've always helped me. I have a top leader who came over from another company, and she's like, I remember you flew in and did a training for my team. I wasn't even in your company, but I just wanted to help. Like, she was my friend. I wanted to hang out with her, and I'm like, yeah, I'll come. So what you do, you never know in the future where that connection is going to lead to. So again, you just love everybody, and that worked for me because I had people who wanted to work with me, who weren't on my team, who weren't even in my company, and of course my team as well, because they knew how I treated them. But you just care about people, and people are going to want to work with you if you really truly care about people. It just goes back to network marketing, like really the network part of network marketing.
It really does. It really does. Because that's why you're here as well, right? We haven't even met face to face in person yet, but it was just a question. You're like, absolutely. Right. And it's like that's awesome because you're willing to put out that value because it gets reciprocated, right? No matter, there's somebody that's going to be listening to you right now that's going to reach out to you. It's just what we do. And I love that about the actual success in this industry, that you do put that value forward all the time. So what can we expect from you coming forward? What does your 2025 goals look like? Like, what does an Amber Voight write down for her 2025? She's now rebuilt. She's shining. She's on top of the world. And
I want to shine a bigger light on this profession. I want to get with the top leaders. I have friends in every single company. I'm not trying to coach people or get people to switch to me. I think if we come together, no matter what company you're in, come together to shine a light on network marketing, everybody's going to win from that. Especially, it's a weird world right now in our industry. It's weird. So I think we have to show that this still is the number one place where people like me can become something that I would only dream of. This is still the place. So together, I want to be on more stages. I want to create stages. I want to shine a light onto network marketing and onto the leaders of network marketing. That's my goal.
Angel, I
Yeah.
got to, because number one, I really do want you to comment on the state of the industry. I was just with Todd Falcone and Eric's team about the state of the industry. We talked about, I'm right out there. I just say it like it is. Beachbody. I think the CEO of Beachbody's letter was absolutely uncalled for, and they absolutely took no culpability in what they've done. And I think it's confusing to a lot of new people. Me coming out of Wall Street and doing mergers and acquisitions, I know exactly what the financial condition are, where they are, and why they made the decisions they made. And to say something like the liars that graced his stage, well, why did you let him on your stage? To begin with, I love the fact that you want to build stages. Talk to Angel and I about that. That's something that we want to do. I think people could use this agnostic, hardcore training, and then, whether it's product or whether it's service, it doesn't matter. There's some great people out there that I think, instead of these companies spending $7-8 million on a 30,000 person event, which I don't even think they're going to see those numbers anymore. I was just talking to Jesse from Eric Worre's team, and I said, look, maybe like you had something like GoPro, and then you had a top leader from the major companies out there, and then you do breakout rooms by company when they want to do product training or something like that. I think it's more economical. Do you want to have a company that switches from MLM to network marketing to affiliate, or do you want to have a big event? You know what I mean? So instead of the event, keep the company alive,
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of these companies got highly leveraged. And there's more to come. And Izzy and I talk about this every day practically. But what do you think about the state of the industry? Are you dampened by it a little bit, or do you see more opportunity?
I see more opportunity, and I am only personally, I only see this trend of affiliate. It's a trend. And I see it mostly with companies that are very heavily in the US. Now, I'm not saying all companies in the US, but in other countries, especially like Asia and other countries, network marketing it's a really respectful career. And I don't, we see some companies going this route, which they've lost their mind. They forgot who actually built the company. But I don't want people to be scared, because this is not the way of network marketing. This is not network marketing dying. Like, we are just going to get stronger. And the companies that are there for the distributor and there for the right model are going to get stronger. And I just see more opportunity with it, honestly. It's sad. It breaks my heart, people like our friend Sarah Robbins, she posted, she was 1 week before they went affiliate, they were told, and she is Rodan and Fields. They were told, we're never going to do it. So that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart for my friends.
That's disingenuous.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? They're going to find a company that knows that this model is the way to build massive sales organizations.
We're free.
They know that.
We're free sales force. So how do you mismanage that? You know what I mean? You don't need 3G5s or 3G6s, right? You don't necessarily need that, right? United's been getting me to Asia on a regular basis. I sleep. By the time I wake up, I'm there. So and I agree. I think people have to understand that it's not so. Get with a team that can help you build internationally. Manage your risk. Angel and I talk about this all the time about you need to manage your risk inside the industry as well, right? So you need to diversify a little bit, whether it's Latin America or whether it's Asia. You're right. I mean, if people could just get a taste of how those people build, they're living like they're still drowning. And I'm talking about 6- and 7-figure earners. It's just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's probably the greatest thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah. So don't be scared. If you're listening to this, don't be scared. Network marketing is still the way. We are still excited. We are still building, and there are still new millionaires being made every single year. So don't be scared.
We didn't blink. Nobody's blinking. Go ahead.
The normal 9-to-5 job, they shut down every day. They always.
That's right.
So, if your company that you've been with for 10 years is mismanaged and they end up shutting their doors, what are you going to do? You're going to get off your, and go look for another job. Yeah. And there's always, I'm the one to think that stuff happens for a reason. And you have to believe that when that old saying, when one door shuts, you got 10 doors that open up. Just go open up one of them and things will be fine. So, I mean, I've been with a company. I'm not going to mention their name. The owner mismanaged money, and we were doing very well. And he went out and got more money, and came to a time where he couldn't pay them back. didn't need the money, and the company shut down. Well, they were, let me say, they were bought by another company. Majority of people know who they are, but that's just, I think it all comes down to bad management and a greedy management. That's how
greedy. That's how I see it too.
I mean, these companies are going to go ahead.
Yeah, I want to add to that, Danny. From a longer lens, you and I have been in the industry for a long time. And Amber, I'm sure you're going to agree with this. Like all industries, this industry has a biorhythm. And over 47 years, I've seen the industry go through its ups and downs. Games came in. There were money games back in the day. There were gifting programs. Now today, you've got these pyramid deals that revolve around cryptocurrency. And you've got these educational platforms, companies that are non-product oriented. They become the flavor of the day. And then when they disappear, this vacuum exists, which needs to be filled. And these companies try to make decisions that are aberrant. I mean, they're absolutely insane. We've seen this over the years. Think back to the AMSOIL days. They cut their distributors out. Way back when in the 70s, Slick 50, one of the biggest additives out there, did the same thing, cut their people out. But to Amber's point, it opens up new opportunities. Because when those companies are revealed to be flawed in their thinking, a company with an enlightened management team will pivot and take advantage of that. I've been thrown out of my company 4 times, which is kind of strange. And it's due to bad management thinking back in the day. But Amber, you touched on something that people in our industry need to know. This is a very generic call. There's people from a bunch of different companies. So I'm hoping that I can broach this correctly. But your success wasn't in your first rodeo. And a lot of people think that you've got to grind it out with your company. But there is such a thing as seeing people cross the stage, and it ain't you, it's the wrong fit. And you kept plugging away till you found the right fit. Would you expand on that?
Yeah, it's true. It's I even when I talk to people, I even do an interview, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this is right for you. Let me introduce you to one of my friends who's in another company who I think the product would really align with your beliefs and with your lifestyle. Sometimes we're just in the wrong vehicle. That is true. 100% true. In fact, I have a story. You guys, Todd Falcone, you mentioned him, the company he's in, actually, their CEO, the owner of the company, she used to be on my team in my old company. And obviously that wasn't the right vehicle for her. And, she now has that company she's in, and she makes a whole lot of money. It was millions a month. So it wasn't her. She was just in the wrong vehicle.
I think John Milton says the same thing, right? 7 years of failure till, it just hit, right? It's a common story. It's a very common story.
Amber,
hey, somebody just asked. Go ahead.
One last thing. Amber just hit on something. I'm going to shut up after this, Danny. It's all yours. But guys,
going to ask my question.
What Amber just said is probably of biblical proportion. If what you've got isn't what they need to get them with someone that's got what they need to get. I just did that with Paul.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that.
A friend of mine wanted to come back into the industry.
Gave me a 30-year industry veteran.
My company, as much as I love it, but my company wasn't going to be the right fit for him, and I needed to put him in good hands. I sent them to my dear friend Paul because I care more about my friend than I did about any money, and I wasn't going to ruin the relationship. You got to do the right thing. I will shut up.
Because you just love everybody, right? Blink if
you know
you
what?
said it, yes.
I really
he
do.
Really does. He really does. I've never seen anybody who's in a constant state of edification and love. I really became very close with Izzy very, very quickly. Even though he only bought me a sandwich on toast the first time we were together. It was a toast. It was. I don't know. I forgot what it was.
I was lucky to escape with my watch. We were eyeing it so hard. I had to get out of there.
I was starving. So Alicia asked, how do you find what your niche is, and how would you get people's attention with it? I mean, I think a lot of the panel can handle that, but why don't you start with there? This way, at least we feel like we're serving the people who are out there in the audience. And then we'll let you close up.
So what stops your scroll? Well, while you're on TikTok or Instagram or wherever it is, what reels stop you? Like, what catches your attention? Because most likely that's what's going to catch other people's attention because it's what you like. Your niche is you. I never want to be like, oh, think of like 2 things that you're good at and post only about that. No, your niche is you as a person in this type of business. So what things do you like to see on social media? I bet you your people you're gonna find your people. I bet you they want to see those things too. So that's kind of what I do is, target runs, recipes. And you can see that has nothing to do with makeup or what I sell. It has nothing to do with that. But when people trust you, they're going to trust what you recommend.
Yeah, I love that. I think that you've built also a brand around being a mom and being able to work from home and being able to change your entire lifestyle and not accepting what was being written out for you, right? You were like, hell no, I'm doing something completely different. So a lot of women watching you and following you are trying to build an Amber-sized organization around their family, right? What are your top tips for how do you do this with your kids at home and keeping your house up and being with your husband and all of that stuff? Like, what does that look like for you? Where does discipline come in? Where do you allow some freedom? What are some tips for some women who are probably at the beginning stages that are just trying to?
Well, I want to tell you, you don't have to be on 24/7. I have seen so many marriages be shattered. I've seen so many people get overwhelmed and quit because they think if I don't write back to this message within 30 seconds, they're going to go elsewhere. If they're going to go elsewhere after 30 seconds, do you really want them as your customer anyway? Like, if somebody's like, you have to be on every second, I probably won't want to work with them. So have boundaries, have a schedule. I do have a schedule and I have ADD bad. So I use programs like there's a program called Structured where it's AI. You tell it exactly what you're going to do for the day and it creates your schedule for you. I use Acuity for when I do my coaching calls and I put in the times that I'm able to do coaching calls and then they can schedule, my team can schedule, what works for them in my boundaries of what I can do. So it's okay to set those boundaries. It's okay to have a schedule. It's okay to, tell someone, hey, if you want a one-on-one call, just go jump on my calendar and pick a day. That's okay to do. You don't have to be on every single second. You're going to get burnt out and you have to make sure your cup's full so you can pour into other cups.
Oh, I love that. And you just helped me. Acuity, you said?
Acuity is for the calendar. ACUITY.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Structured is the app I use that is like an AI
platform,
like assistant type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it kind of just builds my schedule for me and then know when you can work. Like I actually just changed mine and it works so good for me. So I don't do any calls until 11 a.m. That way I can, work out. I can get my kids off to school. I can do what I need to do. And then at 11 a.m., everybody knows that's when they can book their calls with me. And I already have the things that I need to do for my personal self and my self-care already done for the day.
Mm-hmm. There's another.
So we got a message. Oh, go ahead. We got a message from Kathy Rickley. Kathy Rickley from Las Vegas says, Amber inspires me so much. Send her my love from Las Vegas.
Hey,
and Kathy is one of my Jersey girls. She's a Jersey person too. So that's great. She was just actually up here in New Jersey.
Awesome.
So listen, a couple of things. Let me do some housekeeping before I hand it back to Angel and Amber for them to close out. But at 8:00, which is in 10 minutes, we have the Gel and Tell. So if you're with our company, the gelandtell.com, and you're going to see Jennifer Carter is going to give her testimonial. So I just want to let you guys know that. So give yourself time to get over there to that other event. Not that we're going to take anything away from Amber and Angel, but we want to support everybody. So Angel, Amber, we're going to shut up and let you guys close out.
Oh, no, I'm so grateful that you spent some time with us tonight on this call, Amber. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Definitely want to spend some time talking with you one-on-one too, because I appreciate who you are. When you know the people who can be your true friends in this profession, those are people you hold close, right? So I just want to let you know that I am so grateful for that. The value you've delivered here is huge. And I know everybody listening is going, okay, I can do this. I can do this because she said that she started doing this because she knew she could do it because other people were. And that's Lisa Grossman's story is so similar to that, right? Where she's like, yes. I went home to my husband and I said, these people are uglier than we are. They're stupider than we are, but they're making more money than us. We can do this. Yes. And that always stuck with me. So I love that. But I want to just, if you can close out, everybody wants to be using social media. You've been so effective with that. I saw recently, you're like, guys, I'm not so much on Facebook anymore. I've moved over to Instagram. Where do you think, if somebody has 1 hour a day, that they can be focusing on their business? How much should be social media? How much should be active prospecting? Where should they be spending their time and building their brands and their niche? What is the most effective for, like, if you have to be conscious of your time right now?
Yeah, well, be careful of the scroll. So many times you say you're working, but you're not working. You're watching TikToks and you aren't working. I like to set timers. I actually have this little thing. So I just put it up, like if I want to do 15 minutes and I'm going to do 15 minutes, it's going to go off when 15 minutes is up. And that time I will take just to kind of go through and find inspiration, and I save it in a little folder. I have a little folder both on my TikTok and my Instagram that says inspo. So reels that I see, I'm like, oh, I could use that sound. This would go with something that I have, even if it's completely different. I think, well, that could fit for what I'm thinking of for my business, and I'll save it in that folder. But I only take 15 minutes. That's it, because it's easy to get stuck in that, and then you're doing that's not making you money. That's not money making activities, and that's not what we do. So be cautious of the scroll, and then I take one day where I do my content. But what's more important is really building connections. I think I can't emphasize it enough. Connection. But to find those people and to kind of start to get more eyeballs, that's where the content comes in. So I take one day a week, and it's usually on Sunday, and I'll take it and I'll make, 7 to 14 reels, and I'll just save them in my drafts so I can post them when I have time. But I spend my time really just reaching out to people and talking to people as a friend, and not reaching out like no hey girl messages, no copy pasted messages. Be real. Like really just go look at their profile and make a real conversation. And, just know in your mind you're making a connection. It's not about them signing or them buying. It's just building a friendship and building that network, because you never know where it's going to lead.
For sure. And so knowing that the size of your organization and what's building underneath you right now, making your own personal, like, have you slowed down on your own personal business building? I know the answer already, but that's an answer people need to hear, right? They seem to think that they start building a team and it's like, oh, brakes, or like, I put on the brakes, no more.
Well, they're not going to do it either. I do this training. I've seen it a long time, years and years ago. You guys have probably seen it, but where you say, hey, touch your cheek. You guys, if you're in the audience, touch your cheek. Now, most of you are touching your chin because you do what I do, not what I say. And I do that training all the time, and I'm looking out at the crowd and they all are touching their chin. I'm like, see, people are going to do what you do. So if you stop sponsoring, if you stop selling product, if you stop actually showing up, why is your team going to? They're not.
That was good. I totally would have done this. 100%. 100% I would have.
See, I've been doing it wrong because I put my finger up my nose, and I think I don't get the reaction she gets.
Not the same. We love you so much, guys. If you want to find out more about Amber, go and follow her on Instagram. Again, it's Sparkle Amber Ray.
Sparkle with Amber Ray, with an E at the end.
Amber Ray. Thank you. Go and find her over there. She's got incredible products. She does amazing things with makeup and just shares her entire life. And so get some products from her. She just is incredible to work with and be with. So thank you so much for this. We know that your time is valuable to you, and we appreciate this. And guys, just go over, take a screenshot of this, or go and tell Amber what you got as a takeaway. Go over and share some value. Go tag her in a post.
And if you tag us, we'll reshare it too. Like, I'm okay sharing my following with everybody.
Absolutely. I love that.
Absolutely.
So make sure to do that, guys. That's how you reciprocate what was just given to you in value, is by acknowledging the value that is here tonight. We appreciate you so much. I will definitely be giving you a call soon because I love you so much. And thank you. I'm just cheering you on, girl. I love what you're doing. And I'm so happy for you. And thank you guys, everybody, for being here tonight. The entire audience. We do this in webinar fashion so that we can have leaders come from any company and not feel like everybody's under a spotlight for everybody to kind of.
It's a no recruit zone, guys. We really want to try to create an environment where everybody feels safe, everybody's willing to watch, and guys, have an abundance mindset. There's so many people out there that need an opportunity, and you have it.
Absolutely. We have Todd Falcone next week, guys, so make sure to join us next week too. Love you, Amber. Thank you so much.
Contact us for Amber's recording. The recording will be up for Amber, so you'll be able to rewatch this anytime you need to hear it. That'll be up tomorrow. You can go back and you can request. Text Empower, text Empower to 732-913-8581. That's Empower to 732-913-8581. The word Empower, you'll get notified of these. You'll get the replay links. You'll be able to go back and see Tanya Liza, Izzy, Joe Garcia, Ray Higdon. You'll be able to see Fraser Brooks, thanks to Peg Tucker. And we got Big Al coming on too. But next week is Todd Falcone. I want to give away. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys. I can't do it this
Amber
week.
has a book too. You have a book too.
Oh, you do, Amber?
I do. Yes. The 7
All right. So
Cent
we're going to give
Decision.
away. We're going to give away. Wait, this is not like hardcover bound $875 Bible, is it? No, I'm kidding.
No,
we're going to give away.
I will donate it.
No. Amber's book. Is it on Amazon?
It's on my website, sparkwithamberray.com. It is on Amazon, but it's not me selling it. I don't know who it is. So don't buy it from Amazon.
Okay, so we'll buy it from you, and I'll also include a copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, so you'll have the two of them. You'll be Amber in no time.
Yes, better than me.
Love it.
Love you guys.
All right, guys. We'll pick
Bye-bye.
names
Amber,
next
thank
week.
you so much.
Bye. Thank you
Have a
guys
great
for
night,
having
guys.
me. Bye.
Don't